Welcome to the Fab Shop. I'm Jason Ball with Miller Electric, and here today we're going to be talking about trigger select functionality that you have on several different families of our welders. And we're going to talk about what it is, what it does for you, and what problems it can solve for you in your workshop. So let's take a look at each of the product groups that this functionality comes with. 4 main product groups we're going to discuss today that deal with trigger select functionality is going to be the Multimatic Millermatic 255 series, your Delta Weld 350-500 series, systems that are using the 74 MPa Plus series feeder, and lastly, our continuum-based feeder platform. So let's identify the problem that we're trying to solve. The problem is I have to make trips back and forth between the cell, for the wire feeder in this case, to be able to change processes. But I've got to make trips back and forth to be able to access a different parameter set that I want to run, be it pulse or MIG. I'm going to set up an experiment to where I'm going to go from the work table and back to a feeder. I'm going to do this about half a dozen times, and you're going to see even from time lapse that those trips back and forth are quite a few, and I'm walking a very short distance of probably no more than 6-7 feet. Let's see a time lapse of how this problem would actually work out in the real world. So as you can see that even in my small experiment, just setting up a bench between the feeder and a table, that those trips back and forth can add up over time, especially when I'm trying to go from a tacking process to a gap filling process to maybe a pulse process. Having to go back and forth like that puts me at a lot of risk. Having the most effective use of my time opens me up for tripping hazards that I have within the immediate cell. Another example of how workflow could be inhibited is even guys that have to use these booms right here with the feeders on them. Those stations can get very long, and I could have gun lengths up to 25 feet, if not more. That's what we're trying to fight, is how do I stop from walking back and forth every time I want to select a different program with that machine. So now let's take a breakdown and look at each of the machines and how they can actually use this trigger select functionality, starting with the Millermatic 255 Multimatic 255 series. To take advantage of the Millermatic and Multimatic 255's ability to select programs, you're going to need an upgraded gun, which is our 250 MDX Easy Select gun series. And this gun is going to allow you to be able to select the trigger functionality once we go to programs. Let's go see what that looks like. Now there's a couple nuances on this 255 Multimatic that are going to lock us out of being able to do program select. As you can see, my menu options down on the bottom are different because I have auto set highlighted right now. To be able to take advantage of this feature set, I need to disable the auto set. Once that's disabled, I will then be back to what we have as our normal voltage and nominal wire feed speed settings. From the program button, I have programs 1, 2, 3, and 4. Notice how they're able to change. So I can actually customize what mode this is in for each of these programs, select what I need for my arc length if I'm in pulse, or if I'm in CV mode, what's my voltage, and I can set individual wire feed speed parameters. And in this example, I've even got some diff spot timers. And I have to disable auto set on the 255 Millermatic and Multimatic, and then I'm able to see this. Without the gun hooked up though, I can't trigger and actually get these to select. So now let's install the gun to the upgraded version to be able to take advantage of this feature set. Powered up, you can see the LED light is illuminated. And I read this from left to right as program 1, 2, 3, and 4. And it works just like this. For number 1, it's on 1. For 2, hit the trigger 2 times. 3 times. 4 times. To go back to 1, what I don't have is the ability to jump from programs 1 to 4. I can actually not program anything on 4, and I don't have to run through all 3 of them. So it depends on what I want to set up for workflow. What's workflow? Let's talk about workflow. So what I mean by workflow is what operations am I going to do first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and so on. What I mean by operations is, am I tacking parts together first? In most cases, yeah, I have to tack the things together in order for them to hold. Are there gaps I have to fill? Maybe I need a gap filling program. And the third one that I like to always put in there is a pulse program. Like that's the money-making program, the one where I really have nice fit up, my gaps are filled up, I'm ready to just put the coals to it and run. The fourth one could be a variation of some spot timers or just some other different settings for pulse. Maybe I've got a high setting for wire feed speed and trim, and a low setting for it. So there's a lot of different variations. For this one, let's look at this example of a workflow. So this workflow example, I'm going to use the Miller-Mac 255 to explain this. So what I'm going to do first anytime is I'm going to tack up parts, and program 1 is what I'm going to use to actually have a program to tack. So you adjust your settings to where you need them to be in order for you to produce a weld that you feel is, hey, this is what I would like for a tacking parameter. Once I've set that, I can hold the button down for a few seconds. I now save the program. The next one is I want to fill some gaps with this. So with this machine here, I'm going to go into turn the pulse off. And from there, I'm going to be able to have CV mode enabled again because I want to do a gap type program that I want to use for this one. So let's say maybe based on my properties, the material I'm on. It's not so much what the numbers are, it's just I want to set at least a baseline to work off from. Now I'm going to save that as program 2 because that's the second step that I'm going to use for what I'm doing. Now the third step is going to be where I can turn pulse on, because by this point I'm going to be able to start really putting down a lot of metal, a lot of deposition, and I'm going to be able to do that because I don't have gaps anymore. I might have my parts in position. So this gives me the ability now to put this as program 3. And I'm just going to set this to a nominal value. It's going to go to program, hold the button down, program saved. So programs 1, 2, and 3. So when I say workflow, tack, gaps, and pulse, if I don't have gaps, I could swap out programs 2 and 3 and make 2 actually be the one I need for pulse. Now that I have the workflow actually programmed into the machine, let's rerun the experiment to see how it now stops me from having to go back to the wire feed where I can change processes while I'm at my workstation and not have to walk back to the feeder every time that I want to change the process from MIG to pulse to a gap filling program. Now you can see the benefits of having a workflow programmed into Trigger Select because now I don't have to make trips back and forth to change process. I'll still make those trips back if I need to make voltage tweaks or increase wire feed or decrease wire feed speed. Otherwise, I'm going to be able to stay at that workstation. And like I was referencing before from this boom area, this guy right here, from these boom systems, that's going to be a major benefit to somebody that had to drop the boom down and make those adjustments. Now I don't have that as a pain point anymore. So that's going to be a key characteristic of why this Trigger Select is going to play really well, especially in your large industrial customers. Now that we have a skill set in how to set up this workflow and the Trigger Select on the Miller-Mac 255, I'm going to go to the other products that we offer the same feature set on, starting with the Delta Weld 350, moving on to the 74 series MPA feeders, and we'll also show how this is used on Continuum as well. Let's go check it out. To access Trigger Select functionality, pull down the hidden door on the Delta Weld, and it's as simple as touching the button that says Trigger Select. From there, I'm able to toggle between programs 1 and 2 respectively. This easy-to-use interface is quick to set up and easy to train new welders on immediately to take advantage of the feature. On the 74 series feeder, I'm going to need to hold the setup button for 3 seconds to enable the second level setup menu. From there, adjust the left knob until you get the TPGM. Make sure this is set to yes. Once that's enabled to yes, hit the setup menu and grab the gun, and now you should be able to toggle the trigger the exact same way we showed on both the Delta Weld and on the Miller-Matic 255 series. For the Continuum series, we're going to access the setup menu and the trigger configuration function, which is the second item below. From there, you need to make sure the Trigger Program Select box is checked. Each LED up top indicates a number on which the program you're on. You need to activate this function for each program that you want to select to. If the option's unchecked, you'll need to check it if you want to be able to select that program. In this case, I've got programs 1 and 2 set up for this program select. Now watch as I go through and uncheck it for option 2 and check the remaining ones to see if it's turned off. So now I should only toggle between programs 1 and 3 when I depress the trigger. Now that can work great if I only want 2 programs. But let's say I want to enable program 2 to actually operate. All I have to do is select 2, trigger configuration, check the box, go back to the home menu, and now I should be able to run through programs 1, 2, and 3 just as I want to. By using this customer-backed innovation of Trigger Select, you're able to start seeing the benefits of what problems we're trying to solve with this, as far as welders having to walk back and forth from the station to be able to make simple process adjustments between CV, pulse, or any other type of variations I want to set up for. It's a very useful feature set, and I hope after watching this video, you've gained some confidence and knowledge base to be able to apply it to the 4 product groups that we talked about. I'm Jason Ball with Miller Electric. This has been your training video on Trigger Select functionality. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.